Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get ready to start our program. My name is Barbara Rumbach, and I had the fortunate opportunity to curate this year's holiday exhibition on cultural traditions, a holiday celebration. And the goal of this exhibition was for the museum to show our vision of becoming more diverse and inclusive in our themes when we curate here. Right now, the original idea of the exhibit was just to feature Hanukkah, Christmas, and Kwanzaa. But then once I did some more research, I found out that I could get in the Hispanic holiday of Las Posadas, and then I extended it out a couple weeks, and I could even sneak in the Chinese New Year. And so today we're going to be celebrating the Chinese New Year with Grace Lin. I loved her book. It was very straightforward and told you all the beautiful traditions that go along with this holiday. I just love the vibrant color and some of your great perspectives with the table. They were very interesting. Grace grew up in upstate New York, attended the Rhode Island School of Design. Her dream was to illustrate children's books. And she's over 20 right now? Mm-hmm. Wow. A lot of them have the Asian American experience themes. But what I really liked was a quote on our website, which I thought really encompassed this exhibit precisely. Books erase bias. They are uncommonly everyday and the mundane exotic. A book makes all cultures universal. And I just thought that summed up this exhibition so beautifully. So I took your quote.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Grace Lin.
All right. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming. I'm actually very used to speaking to really small kids, so if I talk to you kind of like, and please sit down, you'll know it's because I'm used to that. But I'm Grace Lin. I'm an author and illustrator of all different kinds of books. I'm an author and illustrator of picture books like this. I'm an author and illustrator of novels, and I'm an author and illustrator of early readers. I'm so pleased that the Norman Rockwell Museum has featured some of my art for the Lunar New Year. I thought the best thing to do for this presentation would be to tell you a little bit about the Lunar New Year. So, as we said, you just heard me call it the Lunar New Year, which is probably the more correct term people call it nowadays, because but for a long time people have been calling it the Chinese New Year, because most of the people that celebrate it happen to be Chinese. However, not everybody who celebrates the Chinese New Year is Chinese. It's celebrated in Thailand, it's celebrated in Taiwan. So now we realize probably the more correct term to use is the Lunar New Year. And why that is the more correct term, all right, the reason why that is the more correct term, is, one second. There we go. Got it. The reason why it is the more correct term is the whole reason why we celebrate the Lunar New Year is because it is based on the lunar calendar. Like here in the United States, we celebrate the New Year on January 1st, and it happens the same day every year. Chinese New Year, or Lunar New Year, is celebrated on a different day every year. That was just celebrated last Tuesday this year. Next year it'll be celebrated sometime in a different day in February, another day in maybe late January. It's celebrated a different day every year because it follows a different calendar. It doesn't follow the calendar of the sun, which we follow here in the United States. We follow the solar calendar. The Lunar New Year follows the lunar calendar, which is why the Lunar New Year is a different day every year. And there's many different ways that we celebrate the Lunar New Year in Chinese culture. And the reason why we celebrate the Lunar New Year the way that we do, one of the reasons why, is because of this story right here. And this is the story of the Nian monster. Whoops. The Nian monster. A long time ago, a fierce monster that could eat up an entire village in one swallow lived in the mountains. More ferocious and wild than any dragon or unicorn, he only woke and fed one time a year on the Lunar New Year. But the destruction and horror he caused was unimaginable. All year long, the people lived in fear and dread. So when the days got closer and closer to Nian's feeding time, the people began to despair. There must be something we can do to save ourselves and stop the Nian monster, they said. But what? The Nian monster was so strong and so enormous, no one could fight it. And the Nian monster came silently in the night, without warning. It wouldn't matter if they had an army fighting for them. The village would be destroyed before anyone even knew it. It was hopeless. But one day, a wise old man came to the village. I know how you can survive the Nian monster, he said. It is afraid of light, the color red, and loud noises. On the night it wakes, you must cover your homes in red banners, light red lanterns, play loud drums, and set off firecrackers. That will scare the Nian away, and you will live another cycle. The people thanked the old man and did as he said. They hung brilliant red banners, the color of a cooked crab shell, over their doors and window. They lit so many lanterns that their village looked as if it were on fire. They pounded their drums as if they were dangerous beasts, and their fireworks deafened even those miles away. But even as they did this, they were afraid. What if the old man was wrong? What if all this failed and the Nian still destroyed them? So, as the sun burned away from the sky like a dying coal, all feared that it would be their last night on earth. They ate their favorite foods and wore their best clothes. Arguments were forgiven and debts were paid. Friends and family gathered together to be with each other one last time. But when the light of the sun cracked through the dark sky, there was a great rejoicing. The old man had been right. The Nian monster had come and gone, scared by the red banners and the loud noises. All were alive, and the village was saved. So from then on, the New Year was celebrated this way. On the night when the Nian monster was supposed to come, on Lunar New Year, homes were decorated with red banners, favorite foods were eaten, and friends and family gathered together. So that's one of the thank you. So that's one of the origin stories of why we celebrate the Lunar New Year the way we do. For example, one of the big traditions of Lunar New Year is that we hang these red banners on our doors and windows. Of course, now none of us really believe that there's a Nian monster that's going to come and eat us up on Lunar New Year. But we have kept that tradition of hanging these red banners on our doors and windows because we think it's a beautiful decoration. But the reason why we originally did that was because we kept it was to keep the Nian monster out of our house. So that those red colors would scare it away. But now, like I said, we put the banners up as decoration with, good wishes for the year. And like I said, with good wishes of the year, saying good luck, spring, welcoming spring, all over the place, just as kind of a festive thing to do. Another thing we do is we clean the house. Before Lunar New Year, we clean the house. And it's very important that we clean the house because we want to have our house fresh and empty of all of last year's bad luck so we can let the new year into a nice clean home. So that's why we have to clean the house out and we have to sweep all the dust and dirt out of the house. And it's very important that you sweep all the dust and dirt out of the house through the back door. Because when the Lunar New Year comes in with all its new fresh good luck, it's going to come in through the front door. And if you sweep your dirt and dust out the front door, when the Lunar New Year comes in, it might accidentally bring in your bad luck. So you have to make sure you sweep all your dust and dirt and bad luck out the back door. And before Lunar New Year, you want to get your hair cut, you want to look fresh and beautiful, you do all those things to make yourself look as nice as possible for the new year. But you always have to make sure you do it before Lunar New Year. You never get your hair cut on Lunar New Year because that's the day when your good luck comes in. And in fact, people always hide their knives or any sharp objects because they don't want anything that might accidentally cut their good luck. Because on Lunar New Year's Eve, you are going to get dressed in your very, very best clothes. It's best if these clothes are red, because red is that lucky number, lucky color, and it will protect you from any evil spirits that might be after you. But it doesn't have to be red, as long as it is fresh and new and bright and your best, because you want to look best for the new year. And you're going to gather with all your friends and family, and then you are going to eat a lot of food. So much food. And the reason why there's so much food at Lunar New Year is because what happens on Lunar New Year symbolizes how you'll be for the whole year. If you're hungry on Lunar New Year, if you don't get enough to eat on Lunar New Year, that means you might be hungry the whole year. It means you might not have enough to eat the whole year. But if you are full and satisfied on Lunar New Year, if you have leftovers on Lunar New Year, that means you'll be full and satisfied the whole year. It means you'll have more than enough to eat the whole year. So that's why there's always so much food at the table. And at my house, my mom always made sure that we had 2 special dishes served at Lunar New Year. And that was the whole fried fish and the fried dumplings. So like I said, I do these presentations to kids a lot. So I usually say, I'm going to show you a photo of the whole fried fish that my mom serves at Lunar New Year. Some kids do not like this picture. So, and maybe if you are not used to exotic foods or foreign foods, you might be a little shocked. So if you are sensitive, brace yourself. And then I show them this picture, right? Now, usually when I show this to a bunch of kids, they're like, "Ugh, gross," right? And I have to sympathize with them because I remember feeling exactly the same way when I was their age. When my mom brought this fish out onto the table at Lunar New Year and I was a child, I used to be like, "Oh, gross. Mom, why do you have to serve the fish this way with the head and the tail on it," right? When we went to restaurants and we ordered fish, they would always give you like a little nice white square with like little herbs on top, or a little pink square, and it looked so pretty. But when my mom served the fish, it always had the head and the tail on it. And I'd be like, "Oh, Mom." And I felt like the eye was always staring at me, and I would turn that plate around so it wouldn't look at my sisters instead. Well, the reason why my mom served the fish this way is because it is a Chinese tradition. Everybody here knows what a homophone is, right? Just in case you don't remember, a homophone is a word that when you say it, it has 2 different meanings. So the Chinese word for fish is a homophone. When you say the word fish in Chinese, you could be saying the word fish, or you could be saying the word for abundance or wealth. And remember what I said, on Lunar New Year, you want all of your abundance. You want all of your wealth. So the reason why my mom serves the fish with the head on the tail on it is because she wants us to have all of our abundance, all of our wealth. If my mom cuts the head and the tail off the fish and gives us a little white square, that would mean we're only going to get part of our wealth or part of our abundance for the new year. And you don't want that. You want the whole thing. So that's why my mom always served the whole fish at Lunar New Year. Another thing my mom always served at Lunar New Year was the fried dumplings. And she used to say, "If you eat these dumplings, you'll be rich." And I never really understood what she meant until I was an adult and I looked it up and I said, "Why did she always say that?" Well, the reason why she said that was because these dumplings are supposed to symbolize gold coins. And like I said, when I talk to kids, it's like, "Gold coins? They don't look anything like gold coins." Well, that's because ancient gold coins looked like this. They were not like round pirate doubloons, like gold flat circles like we're used to. No, gold coins in ancient China were this shape. These are gold ingots. And you can see how the shape of these ingots are a lot like the shape of those dumplings. And those dumplings, when they're fried up, they're the same golden color as these gold ingots. So you can see why she says, why these dumplings symbolize gold coins. And so the idea is the more dumplings you ate at Lunar New Year, the more gold coins you get for the year, which is why my mom said, "If you eat these dumplings, you'll be rich." Another thing that we often had was the New Year tray. On the at New Year, my mom would take out this tray and we would always fill it with all of these Asian sweet things. And it's very important that this tray is filled with sweet things. You don't want to fill this tray with, say, coffee, because coffee is bitter. And if you did that, that would give you a bitter year because this is a New Year tray. You don't want to fill this tray with lemons because lemons are sour and that would give you a sour year. No, you want to fill this tray with sweet things because that way it will give you a sweet year. And if you fill this tray with Chinese sweet things, you will have a special extra luck because all of these Chinese sweets have some sort of symbolism to it. For example, if you fill it with candied melon, it means you'll have growth and good health. If you fill it with tangerines, it means you'll have good luck. If you fill it with red dates, it means you'll have lots of new children in the year. Or if you fill it with kumquats, it means you'll have gold for the year. So you have all this food at Lunar New Year, and after you're done eating, if you are lucky, you will hear lots and lots of really, really loud noises, so loud that you'll cover your ears, because what you will hear will be the firecrackers. Because remember, the Nian monster is afraid of those loud noises. So somebody hopefully will be letting out these really, really loud firecrackers. And if you're really lucky, with those firecrackers will come the lions. So what happens on Lunar New Year traditionally is that the Chinese people or the Asian people kind of bring out their protective animals. And there are two kinds of protective animals in Asian culture. There's the lions and there is the dragon. And a lot of people get confused about the lions and the dragon. They don't get them mixed up. Well, they're both very lucky. They both protect people, but this is how you can tell them apart. Lions always come out in pairs. There's always at least two. Sometimes they can come out in three, but usually it's in even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, And lions always have 4 feet. And they come out with the firecrackers. And so those are the lions. Dragons, on the other hand, if you're lucky, you'll see a dragon come out. A dragon has many feet. And usually, the dragon only comes out singly. Dragons are so rare, it's very unusual to have more than one dragon come out at a time. So the whole time, these protective animals come out and parade around you to show how powerful they are, to scare away any monsters. Everybody's making a lot of noise. They're banging their drums, they're blowing their noisemakers, they're setting off the firecrackers, they're hitting their gongs. It's really, really loud. And I remember when I was a kid, I really didn't like it. I'd cover my ears. My younger sister would cry because she'd be so scared. But that was the point. The loud noises were supposed to be scaring away those evil spirits. So that's why it's so loud. Now, you'll notice there's a girl there holding a stick on a ball, right? And that ball is supposed to symbolize the sun, right? So you know how the earth goes around the sun over and over and over again? It gives us many days and many nights. So the dragon chasing that sun around and around and around is supposed to symbolize or make sure that we also have many days and many nights. And then we give gifts. I tell kids it's just like Christmas, but not exactly. Because what parents or adults give to kids are lucky red envelopes. Instead of giving gifts of books or toys, they give them red envelopes stuffed with money, with the idea that kids can buy whatever they want instead. They don't have to give them the actual object. They just give them the lucky money, and they can buy what they want themselves. So they give these red envelopes full of money to adults, give them to kids, and then adults give each other things like tangerines and oranges, which seems like a weird gift, but it's another tradition based on a homophone. When you say the word orange or you say the word tangerine in Chinese, it sounds like the word for wealth or gold. So when you give somebody an orange, it's kind of saying, I wish you wealth, I wish you gold in the new year. And then we light the lanterns. Because remember that Nian monster is afraid of bright lights. So just in case your loud noises, your red banners, your lions, your dragons have not scared away that Nian monster, you have one more thing that was like your last line of defense, which is your bright lanterns. And you light your lanterns, and usually at the end of Lunar New Year, we have a lantern parade. And usually it's kids, and they walk around with their beautiful lanterns, or they're just hanging. So you'll see that there's all different shapes of lanterns. You'll see there's a couple of kids that are carrying lanterns in different shapes, like the bunny lantern. And she's probably holding that bunny lantern because she's born in the year of the rabbit. Because last but not least about the Lunar New Year's is that they are based on animals. There's the Chinese animal years. I have this book called The Year of the Dog, and I have this book called The Year of the Rat. And it's called The Year of the Dog and The Year of the Rat, not because there's any dogs in The Year of the Dog, and not because there's any rats in The Year of the Rat. They're all about my life during my very first Chinese Year of the Dog, all about my life during my very first Chinese Year of the Rat. Because hopefully you know that in Chinese culture, every year is named after a different animal. It starts with the rat, and it ends with the pig, and then it goes all over again. And each one of these animals kind of have their own personality or characteristics that they kind of lend to the year. And it's always in this order, and it's always these 12 animals. And the reason why is because of this story right here. And this is the story of the 12 animals of the Chinese New Year. A long time ago, so long that you couldn't even imagine it, the Jade Emperor had a birthday. Since he was the Jade Emperor, the king of all the heavens, he invited the animals of the earth to come to his celebration. And he said, to add to the festivities, it would be a race. The first 12 to arrive would win the prize of a year named after them. So of course, all the animals wanted this honor. But separating the earth and the Jade Emperor's palace was a large and forceful river with violent waves that rose and crashed over and over again like the pounding of a thunderous drum. All the animals worried about getting across. Many animals decide to train and prepare themselves for the event, like athletes before the marathon. One such animal was the cat. Every day he worked, strengthening his muscles, holding his breath, and trying to get used to the water. The night before the race, the cat put himself through vigorous exercises one last time. Exhausted, he went to bed, asking his friend the rat to wake him up in the morning in time to start the race. The rat agreed, but his mind was elsewhere. The rat knew he was a poor swimmer, too weak and too small to manage the river's waves. But he wanted to be an honored animal. He refused to give up. So all night he sat and thought and plotted. In the morning, the rat followed the strong water ox like a shadow. As soon as the race started, the rat made a flying leap onto the ox's back. The rat was so small and so light that the muscular ox didn't even notice he was there. And since the water ox was the very best swimmer, he was easily leading the race. But as soon as the Jade Emperor's kingdom was within range, the rat gave another flying leap and was the first ashore. He was the winner. So the rat was rewarded by having the first year named after him. The ox was then second, so if you go rat and then go to the left, ox was then second, and then the tiger, and then the rabbit, who made it across by jumping from one river stone to the next, the flying dragon, who wasn't first because he stopped to make it rain for some people, the snake, who had wrapped himself around the horse's ankle and scared the horse when he slithered off, causing the horse to jump back, which made the horse next, and then the sheep, monkey, and rooster, who had built a raft together, the dog, and then last the pig, who was late because he got hungry on the way and stopped to eat. And so the 12 years were named. But what about that cat? Well, the rat forgot to wake him up in the morning, so he slept through the entire contest. That is why there is no year of the cat. That is also why whenever a cat sees a rat, it hisses and attacks. The cat has never forgiven the rat for not waking him up and making him miss the race. So you can see the 12 animals of the Chinese New Year. We talk about how if you are born in a certain year, you have these certain characteristics. You can kind of see each animal's characteristics in that story. For example, the rat, right? He was number one, right? But he was this very small animal. There was no way he should have been number one. He couldn't swim in that water, but he really, really wanted to be an honored animal. And not just any honored animal, he really wanted to be number one. And he was very, very clever and shrewd to figure out how to do it. So they say if you are born in the year of the rat, you are very ambitious, you have big dreams, you are very shrewd and clever, you know how to make those dreams come true. But they say if you're born in the year of the rat, you have to be careful that you don't act too selfishly. Because remember, the rat was so busy thinking about himself, he completely forgot about his friend the cat, and now he has an enemy for life. So those are some of the other, those are the characteristics of the animals. So you could see like the story of, does anybody want to hear about a certain animal? The pig? Well, the pig story is not as interesting, but it is funny. So the pig is an honored animal, right? He's number 12 on this 12-year cycle. And you have to think about the fact that there are so many animals that wanted to be honored animals, yet they are not on this cycle, right? There's no year of the elephant, there's no year of the lion, right? There's no year of the panda, right? But they all really wanted to be honored animals. And they all tried really hard. They all practiced ahead of time. They came up with these schemes. They worked with friends. All these animals really, really wanted to be honored animals. The pig, however, did not care about being an honored animal. He's like, well, I'll go. And he took his time, he ate some food, and while he's eating some food, he's like, oh, I bet you there's even better food at the party. And so if he hurried at all, he hurried because he didn't want to miss the great food. And so without even trying, he became an honored animal. So they say if you are born in the year of the pig, you are just born lucky and things work out for you. Another animal that's really interesting is the story of the ones that I really like to tell are the tiger and the rabbit, because they are exactly the opposite. So the tiger was very unusual because the tiger is like the cat. He does not like water at all. But unlike the cat, he did not practice ahead of time. He did not train. He didn't do any of those things. He just heard about the race. Like some of the other animals, like the sheep, monkey, and rooster, they got together with friends and came up with all these plots. He didn't do any of those things. He just heard about the race. He just kind of tried to remember, and on the day of the race, he just showed up. And they said, on your mark, get set, go. And he just jumped right in, relying on himself, his strength to get him across. So they say, if you are born in the year of the tiger, you are very brave, you are very strong, you are very courageous. But they also say, you are not a very good planner. You take a lot of unnecessary risks. And that's exact opposite of the rabbit. The rabbit, on the other hand, on the day of the race, he went to the water's edge. And they said, on your mark, get set, go. And everybody's jumping in. The tiger jumped in, the ox jumped in, but the rabbit stayed right there on the river's edge. He did not jump in. He sat there and he looked and looked, and he looked at the rushing water, and he looked how far it was, and he said, ooh, that looks really far. And he's like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to swim that. And he's like, no way, I'm not gonna be able to swim that. And he kept looking, and everybody's jumping over him, passing him, going through. He's like, I'm not gonna swim that, how can I get across? And he sat there and he thought, and then he saw all these river stones in the water. He's like, oh, that's how I'll do it. I'll jump from one river stone to the next. And so he did. So they say that if you are born in the year of the rabbit, you are very cautious. You think before you act. So almost the exact opposite of the tiger. The last animal that I really want to tell you about was the dragon. Now, if you know anything about Chinese culture, you know that they love the dragon. They honor the dragon. They use the dragon as their national symbol. Well, one of the reasons why they love the dragon is because of this story. So the dragon is number 5 on this 12-year cycle. But really, he should have been number 1 because he was a flying dragon. He did not have to swim in that water at all. And so on the day of the race, he should have just flown into the air and flew over everybody and beaten everyone and become number 1, right? Well, on the day of the race, it was like that just for a little bit. They said, on your mark, get set, go. He jumped into the air, he flew across the water, easily beating everyone. But then he looked down below. And he saw some people crying out to him. They were having a drought, and they were saying, dragon, help us, please. We need water so badly, we're dying. And he looked at the people, and he said, I should really help them. So in the middle of the race, he went over, he got some clouds, he made it rain for them, and then he continued on to the race. And that's why he's number 5 and not number 1. And so that's one of the reasons why Chinese people love the dragon so much. They say, the dragon, he's so noble, he's so compassionate, he's such a great leader, he'll take care of us and protect us. So that's one of the reasons why they love the dragon, and that's why, no matter what year it is, the dragon is almost always considered lucky. So what I thought I'd do today is teach all of you how to draw your own good luck Chinese dragons. So let's see. Do we need to switch over?
Yep.
Okay.
And we have to get people their drawing utensils.
And we have some drawing boards for anybody who would like to actually try it. Would anybody like to try it?
It's very easy. And it'll bring yourself some good luck for the year. Great.
Are you ready?
What?
One second.
Would you like to draw?
Thank you.
Or do you want us to share?
Just want to make sure this is off. Thank you.
Would you like some drawing? Sure. Excellent. You want to
Did everyone get everything?
All right, is everyone set? Ooh. Should I refrain? Is it working now?
Did they go away? Yep. Great.
All right, so like I said, I visit many schools and I talk to a lot of kids. And one of the stories I tell at my school visits is I tell a story about the story of the first Chinese dragon, and it happens to be, and what happens in the story of the first Chinese dragon, it's a boy who swallows a magic stone and he turns into a dragon, and he turns into the first dragon of China. And when I tell that story, sometimes the kids are horrified because they're like, but a dragon is evil, because they're thinking about the European dragons, and I have to explain to them how there are two kinds of dragons. The European dragons that are traditionally considered evil, who eat princesses and need to be killed by the Knights of the Round Table. But then there are the Asian dragons, who are the exact opposite, who are honored and revered and beloved, and for him to turn into a dragon was actually a great honor. So there are many differences between the Chinese dragon and the European dragon, other than just their personality of one traditionally being good and one traditionally being evil. And these are the ways you could tell them apart. First of all, we'll start with our dragon. So everybody make sure your paper is vertical, which means tall up and down. And we're going to start our picture. These are going to be very simple dragons, don't worry, we're just doing the heads. And we're going to start our picture in the upper middle of the page. So this is the middle of your page. We're going to start right here in the upper middle. Okay, we're going to start with the eyes. Eyes is very easy. You start with a circle, a line, and a circle. Okay, kind of maybe like a barbell or a pair of glasses without the rims. All right, so all dragons have eyes, European or Asian. Okay, Chinese dragons, though, have certain things that make them Chinese or Asian. All Asian dragons or all Chinese dragons have horns, okay? So we're going to draw the horns. To draw horns, very easy. Where the line meets the circle, I want you to make a sprouting line like this. Okay, from that line, I want you to make kind of like a lowercase m, 3 humps. 1, 2, 3. All right, and then I want you to make a line that goes halfway down and stop. Don't go all the way, just halfway. All right, now let's go do the other horn. Where the line meets the circle, I want you to make a horn that goes out this way. All right, now we're going to make a backwards lowercase m, 3 humps. They're going to go in this direction. 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to make another line that goes halfway and stop. All right, now connect those two lines together with a straight line. All right, now Chinese dragons have eyebrows. We're going to make an eyebrow. The way we're making eyebrows, go right above the horns, and you're going to kind of make like a 3-humped butterfly wing. It's going to be like this: 1 hump, 2 hump, 3 hump, and have it end right on the eye. Okay, so it's kind of like a butterfly wing, but 3 humps. And have it end right on the eye. Good job. All right, now let's do that to the other side. Right here above the horn, another 3-humped butterfly wing. 1 hump, 2 hump, 3 hump, end on the eye. All right, now we're going to do the dragon's snout. Very easy, all dragons have snout. The way we do it is we just make a nice U, long U, from one eye to the next. All right? All right, all dragons need to breathe, so we're going to give him some nice nostrils. Like, do a nice swirl there and a nice swirl there, so he can breathe. Now, this is the biggest difference between a Chinese dragon and a European dragon, and this is something that a lot of people get wrong. But this is how you can tell. A Chinese dragon never, ever has wings. If you see a dragon with wings, it's a European dragon, you should run away, it's evil, right? So, but a dragon without wings is usually a Chinese dragon. And the reason why the Chinese dragon doesn't have wings is because traditionally, Chinese dragons were the kings or the rulers of the sky and the winds and the clouds. They did not need wings because the clouds and the sky and the wind would take them anywhere they wanted. They didn't need wings to bring them anyplace because they controlled all that was in the sky. So, like I said, a Chinese dragon never has wings. However, a Chinese dragon always has a mustache. So give your dragon a nice swirly mustache. So, if you see a dragon with a mustache, it is probably Chinese. All right, now we are drawing these dragons to bring us some good luck for the new year, right? And because we want him to bring us good luck, we need to make sure he is a happy dragon, or she. The happier this dragon is, the happier our year will be. If you make this dragon sad, you might have a sad year. If you make this dragon angry, you might have a very angry year. So let's make this dragon really happy. Give a big happy smile, like a big toothy grin. Is so happy. A big, big toothy grin because he or she is just so happy to see us. Okay, but after you've done all those teeth, he kind of needs a jaw to hold up all those teeth. So we're going to do the jaw next. All right, to do the jaw is very easy. You just go to one corner of the mouth and you're just going to do kind of a sprouting line down like that. All right, and then go to the other corner of the mouth and do another sprouting line down. And then connect those two sprouting lines together so it holds up his teeth. So now he has a chin. All right? Now we are going to give this dragon a beard because all Chinese dragons have beards. And this is where you can decide what kind of luck you want your dragon to bring you. Because in Chinese culture, there are some lucky numbers and one unlucky number. And the number of whiskers we put on our dragon will symbolize the kind of luck we want him to bring us this year, or she wants to bring us this year. So, for example, one lucky number is the number 6. 6 is lucky in Chinese because it's another homophone. Remember we were talking about homophones? When you say the word 6 in Chinese, it sounds like the word for smooth or straight or smooth and easy. Or peaceful. So let's say you have a test or you have a big project that you have to get done this year and you just want this project to go smoothly and easily. You could put 6 whiskers on your dragon and he'll make things go smoothly, easily, peacefully. So we'll say easy, peaceful. A lot of times we like to give these something in with 6s to to pregnant women with the idea that we hope that their labor will be smooth and easy. Another lucky number is the number 8. 8 is lucky because when you say the word 8 in Chinese, it sounds like the word for prosperity or fortune or money. So if you are feeling a little short on cash this year, you could put 8 whiskers on your dragon and he'll bring you some opportunities to make some money. Another lucky number is the number 9. When you say 9 in Chinese, it sounds like the word for forever, which we make into like long life or longevity. So if you are feeling a little sick and you want some good health, you can put 9 whiskers on your dragon and hopefully this dragon will bring you some good health and a nice long life. All right, so those are the lucky numbers. Of course, there's one unlucky number that you want to stay away from. We have an unlucky number here in the United States. We do not like Friday the 13th, right? We do not like 13 so much that when you go into a skyscraper building and you get into an elevator, you'll notice that the elevator buttons will go 11, 12, 14, because we think 13 is so unlucky, nobody should live on the 13th floor, right? But if you go to China and you get into an elevator of a skyscraper building, you will notice that most of the time, the elevator buttons will go 11, 12, 13, 14 all the time. They don't care about the number 13. It's just a number to them. But you will notice that a lot of the times, their elevator buttons will go 1, 2, 3, 5. They will skip the number 4. And that's because 4 is their unlucky number. And that's also based on a homophone. When you say the word 4 in Chinese, it sounds like the word for death or to die. And so you should keep away from 4. Do not put 4 whiskers on your dragon. Instead, think about what you like. Would you like things to go easy and peacefully? Would you like some good fortune? Would you like a nice long life? And then this is how you do it. Okay? So you start like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, don't stop there, 5, 6. Okay, that's if you want things to be smooth and easy. Okay, so if that's what you like, just stop there. But say you don't, it's not really you want things to go smoothly. You want some money. So you put 2 more, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's if you want some money. But let's say it's not money you're looking for. You want good health. You want a nice, long, fulfilling life. You put 1 more. And then you've got 9. All right, we're almost done. I have a book called Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, which has a folktale about a dragon that comes to life. And in that story, the dragon only comes to life after his eyes are dotted in. So our good luck brought to us by this dragon will only be brought to us after we dot our eyes in. And there you go. There's your lucky dragon. Hang this. The best thing for you to do is to get a red sheet of paper, copy this drawing again, and hang it on your door or window, and then you'll have a very lucky year this year.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Have a happy new year.
So Grace, that was wonderful. Does anybody have questions?
What about the number 3?
The number 3 is just a number.
Oh, it doesn't have.
Well, actually, I take that back. There's a lot of the numbers that I told you about that are lucky. These are lucky because of language, right? Because of language. There's a lot of numbers that are considered lucky because of like Taoism or Buddhism, but not everybody in Asia is Taoist, not everybody in Asia is Buddhist. So they don't always agree with people. Not everybody agrees with them. These are the ones that most people generally agree on because it's based on language.
I like 9 is 3 times 3.
Yes, yes, exactly. Go ahead.
Could you share a little bit about how you choose what story to write next and what you're working on now? Because even since the Chinese New Year, you've had a wonderful mooncake.
Yes.
There's more coming.
Yeah. So I had a very well, actually, it probably wasn't that unusual. But I was going to say I had an unusual childhood, but it probably wasn't that unusual. But I grew up in upstate New York, which was actually pretty far from here. I was going to say not too far, but it was pretty far from here. Where I was the only Asian child in my school except for my sisters, in my elementary school except for my sisters. And that gave me a really weird sense of identity. And so for a long time, I really rejected my heritage. And so all the things that I talk about here are actually not things that I learned when I was younger. We celebrated some of these things. We had some of these customs, but I didn't really know why or how we did or why we did them. And I never really bothered to find out when I was younger because I was actually kind of ashamed of them. And it's only as an adult that I've realized these customs and that culture is something to treasure. And that's kind of why I do the books that I do. It's me trying to kind of reclaim the cultural heritage that I lost or didn't discover when I was younger. So that's why a lot of my books tend to be about Chinese culture. It has to be or Asian folk tales or Asian folklore. But I also have I have a 6-year-old daughter, and and I'm trying to pass on these traditions to her, but it's a little hard because I feel like I'm just kind of claiming it myself. So now a lot of my books are starting to kind of have a very Asian American flair to it. I guess it's kind of seeing Asian culture with an American lens because it's kind of a way of also claiming power for my American identity. So my newest book that just came out is called A Big Mooncake for Little Star, and it has no roots in Asian folklore, but it is inspired by the Autumn Moon Festival and the mooncakes that we have. So like I said, it's kind of, there's a lot of things that I'm doing now that are inspired by my culture, but may not be exactly from the culture, like the Chinese folktales of some of my other books.
It's great.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, go
I
ahead.
got a question. All of the 12 animals are animals we could see today, except for the dragon.
Yes.
And in European mythology, there are also dragons. Are there any ideas about why we don't see dragons today?
Well, I know that in the Asian, there's many different reasons why about the Chinese dragon, about the origins of the Chinese dragon. There's the myth of the Chinese dragon, but what a lot of people think was the creation of the dragon in Chinese culture was that it was different tribes coming together to form one group. So it was like the tribe of the reindeer, the tribe of the snake, and then they all came together. And so that's why the dragon is made of all these different animals. It has the body of the snake, it has the horns of a reindeer, it has the claws of a rooster, it has the beard of a goat, because it was different tribes of these different tribes that had animals as their, I guess, would it be totem? Is that the correct way words used? So as their totem. So that's kind of one that's one origin idea of it. And so unfortunately I do not know anything about the European origin of the dragon. All I know is like probably what pop culture tells us about the European dragon. Knights of the Round Table, princesses, that kind of things. But that's what I know about the Asian origin story. And then there's many, many myths and stories from there too. Go ahead.
So the turtle is really important in Chinese, and yet the turtle's not represented in the 12.
Yes, so he's one of the honored animals that didn't make it. He's honored in different ways. There's the black tortoise is considered the harbinger of winter. The tortoise has lots of other longevity symbolism. So yes, so that's what I was saying about the pig, why he's considered so lucky. There's so many animals that are considered important in Chinese culture, but they didn't make it as an honored animal. Go ahead.
Grace, could you say a little about your artistic process? How do you approach, starting a book, for example, and then in terms of mediums, how do you work?
So a lot of my work has a very folk art kind of look to it. I went to the Rhode Island School of Design, and I'm actually very classically trained. But when I started creating my own work, I started looking, like I said, so much of what I do is trying to claim the Asian part of my identity. So I started looking at a lot of Asian art, and the Asian art that I really enjoyed was the Chinese folk art. I'm not sure if you know what the Chinese folk art looks like, but the one that I liked, it tends to be really bright colors, really flat, has lots of patterns. And I kind of took that inspiration for a while to create my own art. So that's why a lot of my art is bright colors and full of patterns. I remember reading about Chinese folk art and how they had an abhorrence of emptiness. like everything had to be adorned, and I thought that was so interesting. Like they want every little bit to be covered with patterns. So I thought, so for a while, honestly, for all of my books, I have used that as an inspiration, except for my most recent book, which is A Big Mooncake for Little Star, which has actually been my big break, or it's my new direction. So that's a little bit different. Go ahead.
How did you get into segueing from being an artist to writing children's books?
So this is interesting, and it kind of just shows you how far we've come. And even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it. So my very first book was published in 1999, and when I graduated from art school, I kept sending out these art samples featuring pictures of my family, like this, like lots of art samples like this. And nobody would hire me to do a book. Until finally, an editor called me and said, you know, you've been sending us your art samples for years. We've always liked your work, but we have no stories that go with your art. You know, we don't have any Asian stories that go with your artwork. You know, do you have? And we finally, you know, I've really liked your art for so long. I decided maybe I would just call you up and see if you have a story that goes with your art. And I said, I do, even though I didn't. And then and then it wasn't that quick, but I quickly got interested in the art of writing as well. And so I actually became a writer so that I could illustrate. But then I discovered the joy of writing as well. So.
But there must have been a niche.
Yeah, there was.
We're not Asian.
Yes. So.
Stories for young kids.
Yes, exactly. Go ahead.
Do you have lots of sisters? One of my daughter's favorite books was The Seven Sisters.
I have an older sister and a younger sister. People often ask me that. No, I do not have 7 sisters. And that dragon in that book is atypical of the of the traditional Chinese dragon too.
Any other questions?
So are the books going to be upstairs?
That's what I was just going to say. So thanking Grace. And up in the upper lobby, you're going to be available to sign books.
Yes. So thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yay!